What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nintendo Land, and we just got a brand new Nintendo Direct focused on Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and of course, we've been diving into this thing, talking about it, and I even put up a whole almost 40-minute analysis video the other day. It took a very long time to make, so feel free to check that out. It'll be linked down below, and also there's a card above you can click. But yes, today we're diving into this Direct again, but I want to showcase every single enemy that was shown within both the reveal trailer and also this one. I'm going to be starting with this one and then working my way back, but there are so many brand new enemies and old returning enemies and secret enemies that Nintendo didn't even show off that's on their official Japanese website. So we're going to dive into all of these and show you every single one that was revealed. But thank you so much for tuning in. Stop what you're doing real quick before we get started, guys. Look at the subscriber count. We are so, and I mean so, very close to 250,000 subscribers, our goal for such a long time. Help us to reach this goal. All you gotta do is leave a like and subscribe right now. It goes an extremely long way, but thank you so much for your recent support, and let's dive into the video. So first we're gonna start off with the enemies that we actually got names for. And first we have the Hoppy Cats, and they pretty much jump whenever Mario jumps. We even see a scene where they jump out of a log horizontal based on when Mario jumps as well, so they can be used as a projectile for Mario and also just a nuisance or an enemy in his way. So yep, whenever you jump, they will jump to try to hit you. Next up, we have Melon Piranha Plants, which reminds me a lot of the watermelon power-up from Yoshi's Island, where if Yoshi ate a watermelon, he could shoot seeds out like a machine gun, and so did the Ukiki monkeys in the jungle levels as well, so this is a really cool callback, and I like how they just shoot a machine gun stream of seeds just like that game. You can even bounce off the seeds as well. We have Condarts, which are like condor birds that dart towards you and stick into the ground or any surface that it's flying through. Now it can break through regular blocks, but it seems like it gets stuck on the main platforms, which is probably your chance to hit them before they pop out. We also seen another type of bird very similar to this. They could also be condarts, where they dive into the water and they're blue with goggles on, and they kind of dive into the water where they submerge a little bit, and then they move into a swimming rotation where it looks like they're about to fly back up. It also looks like they're wearing swimming gear. As you can see on their bodies, they're wearing like a striped suit. Next up we have conchs, and there's different colors of them where they work kind of like thwomps, where they move left and right and eventually drop down in order to smash you. They can bust through blocks and even bust through this jello stuff in order to create a little path, but the arrow actually tells you what direction this thing is going to move in. As we see in one section, Mario's running through these crystal blocks as they're moving both up and down, trying to break the blocks in order to get to Mario. However, there is another section where Nabbit's running through a castle where there are thwomps in this game as well, and they drop the very same way. When you get close, they'll shake and fall down. In that same scene, we also see these things that look like they're maybe called wubbas, as it says, in an uncharted area, Wubba Ruins. So maybe these little gelatinous ball creatures are called wubbas, and they swim through this jello substance. And we can actually see from the official Japanese website that Mario's actually able to turn into one of these things based on a Wonder Flower effect. So he might be able to swim through this jelly very similar to the wubbas, or at least in this image it looks like they can. We have mumsies, which are very tall mummy creatures, and you have to unravel them by pulling the cord until you unravel their whole body, and poof, they go away. You can almost see like a little spirit fly away, kind of Pikmin style, which is kind of sad. But this is an example of the new enemy archetypes that actually allows us to do different things besides jumping on their heads. We can actually pull things from them now. Also, the top of his head kind of looks like a chef's hat to me for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's just me though. We have Mawmaws, which are like giant mouthed frog tadpole creatures that chase you with their mouth wide open until eventually they get tired, and then they have to sit and pant for a while. Now what makes this enemy very different than the rest is it can actually eat other enemies on stage, as it completely swallows up the Goomba. So yeah, no one is safe with this guy around. Next, we get a new form of the Sumo Bro, or maybe the Sledge Bro, where it has a giant pair of gloves that looks like he's some type of soccer goalie, as he's pushing these objects and pipes toward you, but you have to be big in order to push back. And if you're elephant size, you can push back a lot faster. I believe there's a gameplay clip on a Japanese website showing this. So we're just going to give him the name Push Bro. We also have these new gopher creatures, which seems to hold some type of item and run away with it, as it's holding this 10 purple coin and Yoshi's chasing it. So odds are you probably have to throw something at it to catch it, because it's running just pretty much the same speed as you. But it actually can attack. I couldn't get the gameplay from the Japanese footage, but it spits out some type of vegetable. It looks like some type of missile-shaped beet that it shoots out of its mouth at you. But yeah, it just kind of runs away for the most part. We then have these things, which looks to be a mixed hybrid between the Amp and the Flame Chomp, where it moves around in the air like that giant black ball and tries to chomp things this time around instead of spit things at Mario. It also has wings and a pair of big golden bites where it tries to come around and bite you, and it can also bite through certain platforms such as these candy rock bricks that are on the stage. It seems to be filled with these things too, so you might want to be careful on this level. Okay, so let's go into some of the named returning enemies as well. Of course, we have Goombas. We've seen them over and over again. Nothing much there. We also have Koopa Troopas, and it seems like they have a cute new animation when they bounce off of each other. They touch tails or shells a little bit, which is super cute. We have Boos returning, which actually sport a slightly different look in this game. They have more of an upper lip you can actually see above their mouth, which is a little weird, but I really like it. And their tongues hang out a lot more often now than they actually do in the games. They also have more of a bouncy animation when they go to cover their faces. It's not just like two different renders immediately switching out of each other. And of course, Lakitus make their return. And they of course throw Spinies out of their clouds as well, and we actually seen Spinies as well that can just walk through the level normally. And on top of all of that, it seems like we'll probably be able to take Lakitus' cloud again like you could in the past games, as there is a part at the end of the trailer that shows all the characters riding clouds that come out of a pipe, so odds are the cloud mechanic is also going to be in here too. Next, let's go to some enemies from the very beginning that were not revealed and have names, at least not yet. We have these mushroom-like Goomba creatures that have very tall, skinny mushroom spores that stick out the top of their head, and it seems like after you bounce off of one, it will spin in order to bounce off of others that are behind it. For the sake of this video and just having fun, let's give each of them names. I'm going to call them Mushroombas. Next, we have these bull-like enemies that I believe are called Bull Rush, and they look like a mixture between Dino, Rhino, and Reznor from New Super Mario World. They just kind of rush you and try to knock you down, kind of like the Bullies, and also the Bruisers from New Super Mario Bros. DS, not to mention the Snellicorn. But they also seem to be wearing some type of athletic gear or yoga pants or something, but yeah. It's very interesting. Next, we have these snail-like creatures where you can knock their shell off and throw it around the stage, kind of like a Koopa Troopa. What's also very interesting about these creatures is they can crawl up the background and the foreground, like up the wall of something in like a three-dimensional plane, which is really unique. It's something we really haven't seen before in 2D. So I'm gonna call these things Schnells. Why? Once again, I'm throwing names out here. I'm spitballing. We also have these triangular fish that do a little spin and start charging up with a blinking light before blasting out of the water in order to hit you by striking you in midair, eventually falling back in the water with their little wings as well, which just reminds me of a flying fish. So we're going to call these flingers, or fling fish. Next, we have these urchin/pokey creatures that are sticking out of the pipes. They remind me a lot of Pokey, as they can also stretch outward, and they also just have ball-shaped bodies, as you see one gets knocked out, so it looks more like the urchin enemies from New Super Mario Bros., but they're not really the same creature. We're going to call these Surchins. We also have these new flat, pancake-looking sunfish fish that actually jump out of the ground and try to bite you from the sand underneath the water. Now, these kind of remind me of the Porcupuffers or the Cheap Chomps, but this time, instead of being above the water, you're in the water with these things trying to attack you as well. I really don't know what to call these guys. Let's just call them disc fish. I believe one of the stages showed off in the trailer actually showed the name of these guys being Hoppos. So they're these giant bouncy balloon hippos that you just bounce off of. They can also roll into gaps so they can clog them up so you can get over those gaps. But yeah, that's pretty much it. They don't do damage, you just bounce off of them, which could be detrimental though, because they could bounce you off into a near-off pit. Next up, we have these blue toucan-like birds that even have shells on their backs as well. Mario enemies love having shells, but they shoot these like little spike projectiles that burrows into the walls and creates a long platform for you to walk on. After they shoot, it also leaves a giant hole in the front of their face until they recharge with another beak, which is pretty funny. Look, I'm not gonna lie, I sat here for like 5 minutes trying to figure out a name for this creature. I'm not even gonna attempt. They just have really cool beaks. The beak birds, I don't know. Next, we have these armadillo creatures that actually pop into a ball, and you can see the two holes on the side of the ball when they pop in there. That's actually from their nose, where it tucks into the side of the ball, which is a really cool animation. But they pretty much just roll around. Mario can bounce off of them or kick them in another direction. Very simplistic. I'm gonna call them Rolladillos after my boy from Mario Galaxy 2. Call back. So yeah, Rolladillos. Look, I thought of another name. I'm surprised it's not a Pokemon. It might be. Maybe I'm just missing it. But what about Armordillo? Come on, it's perfect. Okay, so I'm back. There's actually a transformer out there called Armordillo, and it's actually an armadillo that transforms into a robot. how is this even a thing? Next up, we have these bucket-like enemies that actually can drop spike balls out of the buckets, but you can also grab the handle that dangles down, and when you grab it and let go, it actually will fling it back up and defeat the enemy, which is really cool. You can even see them stress out and start sweating when Mario grabs it, trying to hang on to the wall, but they also have a really cool animation when they bump into each other once they're walking, very much like the Koopa Troopas, where they'll actually touch each other's handles in like kind of a happy way and then walk away. Why is Mario killing these enemies? In this scene, we can also see Goombrats return. I love how they have animations too when Mario's coming near. They'll either be afraid or they'll look up in like shock as he's about to jump on their heads. I really love how much expression they have in this game, and they are still a weird enemy in my opinion. I don't know why they're there with Goombas, you know, it's weird, but sure. Now we have these weird little yellow upside down boot looking creatures. I also thought they looked like a boxing glove, but some of you guys also pointed out that they could be a popcorn kernel because there's actually a popcorn enemy that we see later on in this same area. And we don't see these enemies walking on any lit lava blocks yet, so that's probably why they're not popped yet. Because in this scene, in the same area, we see these little popcorn creatures that are popping up and down, and they also have the same colored shoes and the same height as the little corn creatures, so it probably is the case. Next up, we have a new version of the spike, which is a fire spike, which is able to grab a fireball out of its mouth and then throw it at you. We also have regular spikes in the game once again, and Yoshi can even eat their spiked balls and spit them back out at them. Next up, we have Rumbas, which are these rolling rock creatures that actually home a little black and yellow spider, and you can see them pop out after you break it open. We then see some type of shadowy creature, and we really can't make out what this is because it is in a silhouette level, and we can't really tell what this is supposed to be. It looks like some type of spore or circle with spots on it, or some type of extruding spikes, but I can't really give this thing a name because I'm not able to see what it does or what it even looks like, so I'm just going to say this mystery shadow creature. Thanks to a stage that was shown off in the game, we know that these are called Roller Koopas because the stage was called Roller Koopa Derby, and they're these pink Koopa Troopas with roller blades, which I absolutely love. We also had the return of piranha plants, which run across the stage after you this time around instead of just sticking out of pipes. These might be a different version that actually chase you and may be called something else, but they're piranha plants. Now we have these new door creatures where it looks like if you pick the wrong door, if you come up to a fake door, it'll actually open up where this giant monstery creature will come out with these two giant jaws that try to bite you. It's pretty creepy. I don't know what to call these. Let's call them horror doors. That'd work actually, horror doors. I like horror doors. We also have red paratroopas, and they also have really cute animations. When you get close, they get angry as they look up at you before you hit them, like, here we go again, as Peach bounces off his head. I love the animations. And we have a couple more returning enemies. We have Cheep Cheeps, which pretty much work the same, and Pokies make a return as well, as we have this really tall one. We have the return of the fire piranha plant that actually shoots fireballs in multiple different directions as it spits, which makes these a lot harder than normal. And we can see these balloon frogs return again. I'm going to call them Fraloons. Yeah, I'm just kind of combining balloon and frog. Just give me a break. But there's also different versions we've seen. We've seen Toad jump on green ones that actually fly in the opposite direction. We see Mario bouncing off of a big green one full of confetti, probably due to a Wonder Flower event. Also a cool little detail, these balloon frogs get shot out of the wall out of little air pumps. Next up, we have these flying, swirly pieces of stone. I don't know really what they are, but they seem to move in a pattern as they swirl around the stage and you have to jump and dodge them. You can briefly see what looks to be a green one too underneath Mario in this section. It's just harder to see. We're going to call them swivel stones. There's a lot of S names I feel like I picked, but who cares? Swivel stones it is. Bone Goombas actually do return, and you can see them get spawned in from the goo underneath Elephant Mario. Here we seem to have these new owl creatures that shoot out of some acorn hatched egg as it comes down from the ceiling and tries to target you as it's moving towards Elephant Peach. Next we have dry bones, which make a reappearance, and they probably work the same way, falling into a pile of bones. I also saw on a Japanese website that they do also shell bump when they bump into each other. Another scene, we can see another dry bone style of enemy with his tongue hanging out, and he actually unravels and he has a long cord behind him with a handle as if you have to pull this in order to break him apart. And it looks like it's a dry bone style of head on top of a wheel-like body, as well as if it's going to roll across the stage. And that handle actually looks like a leash, and you can see the red leash around his body as well when he puts it on. Also in the scene with the fire spikes, you can see Buzzy Beetles actually secretly hidden, crawling through the lava at the bottom of the screen. In this scene, underneath the platform, you can make out a giant fiery piranha plant. Next, we have these little snow creatures with boots that actually kick blocks of ice at Mario, and they don't look too happy. They remind me of the viruses from Dr. Mario, but they kick these blocks of ice that Mario can ride and slide on and hopefully not get ran over by. I'm gonna call these guys Ice Mites. I didn't know if I should actually count these guys as enemies, but we're gonna count these lava blocks because they go off and on and they can actually damage you. You can actually extinguish them with water, but I don't really have a name for them since they're just platforms technically, so I'm just gonna call them magma blocks. The Potoboo, or lava bubble, actually makes a return, as you can see it in the back of this world map area. Here we can see some regular piranha plants come out of the pipes, and this time they actually turn their head to face you and chomp in your direction. And yep, these are probably different than the walking ones, which we'll call them piranha walkers. As Toadette is following, we can see some purple cloud enemies that look like flame chomps that fly in the air and probably chase after you, but these look like they're just kind of moving in a horizontal direction. These are probably due to the corruption that Bowser is causing all over the land. In the reveal trailer, we can see a different one that's bigger and it's just sitting in one spot where Mario has to drop down to the lower rail or he'll run into it. Yeah, I don't know what to call these cloud creatures, so I'm not even going to give it an attempt. It also has some Goombrats falling from the sky with fans on their head. Now it's probably just the same enemy. It probably doesn't have a different name, but I thought I'd include it. We have some funky new looking piranha plants. We have giant boss looking ones that guard Bowser's castle that are kind of made out of smoke as well, and we saw in the beginning of the trailer. We also have these ones that guard certain stages, and we also have some in the background, it looks like, as their roots are going through the stage. We're just going to call these naval piranha plants, very similar to Yoshi's Island. We also have these new punchy wigglers that actually has helmets on certain segments of its body. You actually have to dodge its boxing gloves and probably land on the part that doesn't have a helmet in order to defeat it. And we can see green Koopa Troopas make a return in this game as well. Hammer Bros make a return in this game as they're spawned from Bowser's goop, and you can even see them in a section that's very familiar to past 2D Mario games where they have those two rows of blocks where one's on the top and one's in the middle, and they probably switch spots back and forth. We then see Mario holding a blue shell and using it underwater to maneuver, very Mario Galaxy style. Now, we actually don't have a blue shell enemy. Like, even in mainline Mario games, there's no blue shell enemy. We do have the blue shell from Mario Kart, and the Mario movie gave us a blue Koopa Troopa, so maybe they give us one in this game this time around, even though it's not spiked. So maybe there actually is a blue-shelled Koopa Troopa this time around, or maybe it's just an item like in New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. This scene looks like it's giving us the return of the little Sparky enemies and even the Hothead enemy as they're following the path of the objects that they're on, such as this platform. They're just not moving anywhere near as fast as they used to, at least for the little Sparkies. These are not enemies, they are rather obstacles, so I'm just going to count them as obstacles. They will not be added to this list, but I wanted to bring them up. And the return of the rotating fire bars, and also some new flame ones that shoot out a green flame, which looks like it is part of Bowser's airship. We also have a Bowser themed box, which could be an enemy spawner like we've seen in Mario Galaxy and in Mario 3D World. And going back to the reveal trailer real quick, we do have Wiggler, which is a Roller Wiggler as he has roller blades on. Not sure if this is an enemy or just some type of challenge as he's an NPC. You might be able to interact with him or bounce off of him as an enemy. I just don't know yet. Also in the reveal trailer, we had this really tall stack of bamboo enemies that were all segmented that you can ground pound through and break them off separately. And of course, we have the new bullet bills from that reveal trailer once again, which we just try to call all types of new names. We called Missile Mike, Rocket Ricks, whatever you want to call them. As far as bosses, we've only seen Bowser Jr., which definitely is going to count as our enemy on an enemy list. He doesn't do much in this though. We just keep seeing him grow real big and then us grow real small. It looks like it gives us the mini mushroom effect in one scene though as we're gliding longer and jumping higher. But yep, it's just pretty much Bowser Jr. all over again, probably bouncing on his head 3 times. And of course we have Bowser, and for a quick second you can see regular Bowser Jr. and also Kamek fly by right behind him. They do it very quick, so when we slow it down we can see it a lot better. And of course we have the brand new Mecha Castle Bowser machine thing, because it's a combination of his clown car, of Bowser, and also Prince Florian's castle. Now I do believe that is every last enemy that we've seen. It's very possible I could have missed one that was hidden somewhere, but that's over 70 enemies, old and new as well, which is so many, and majority of those are brand new enemies, which is crazy, and there's probably so many more that we haven't even seen yet. So if you found any more enemies hiding anywhere, definitely let me know in the comments down below, and thank you so much for tuning in, because these videos do take a while to make. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe. We are super close to 250,000 subscribers, and your support is just so much appreciated. I cannot thank you guys enough that continue to tune in to these Mario Wonder videos. I love making them, and I love that you guys enjoy them as well. But thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.